baby buffalo's cry broke the quiet morning. It wasn't a cry of fear, just a soft, confused sound. The kind a newborn makes when the world feels too big and its legs feel too weak. His mother nudged him gently, urging him to stand again, and the calf pushed against the warm earth, trying to balance. The tall golden grass around them swayed in a gentle rhythm, brushing against their sides like the hands of the wind. It was a calm scene, the kind you'd expect to last forever. But in the savannah, peace is only a thin layer stretched over a world full of hungry eyes. Only moments earlier, everything felt perfect. The sun had just begun to rise, turning the sky from pale silver to warm orange. The watering hole near the herd reflected the light like a giant mirror, sending ripples of gold across the surface each time a buffalo stepped into it. Birds fluttered low, lifting dust with their wings. The smell of damp soil and fresh grass drifted through the air, wrapping the morning in a blanket of life. Among the herd, the newborn calf was the center of gentle attention. His fur was still soft and darker than the adults, and his ears twitched at every new sound. When he tried walking, his legs shook beneath him like thin branches bending in the wind. His mother never left his side. She watched him with quiet patience, her heavy breath warm against his back as she guided him step by shaky step. Every time he stumbled, she lowered her head to steady him, brushing her nose against his cheek as if whispering, "Try again, little one." Far across the plains, a lone figure moved with slow, steady steps. An aging female elephant, massive yet gentle in her stride, wandered the savannah with the weight of many seasons carried inside her. She once had a herd, a loud and lively family where every day was filled with trumpets and playful pushes. But migration had separated them months ago, and surviving alone had become her quiet reality. She had grown wise in her solitude, noticing things other animals ignored. Wind shifts, ground vibrations, the way silence sometimes falls too quickly. This morning, the silence tickled the back of her mind like a warning. She paused beside an acacia tree, lifting her trunk to taste the wind. Carried the scent of dust, grass, and water, nothing unusual. But underneath that, deeper, almost hidden, was a smell that tightened her chest. Something sharp, something cold, something that did not belong to the peace of morning. She lowered her trunk slowly, her eyes drifting toward the buffalo herd near the watering hole. She had watched this herd from a distance before. She was familiar with their leader, a large bull with thick, curved horns, and she had seen the newborn calf wobbling beside his mother. Even though she lived alone, she stayed close enough to observe others, as if the sight of families reminded her of what she had lost, and what she still hoped to find. The herd did not sense anything wrong. They stepped through the short grass, drinking, grazing, brushing against one another in their usual morning rhythm. The baby calf wandered only a few feet from his mother, tugging clumps of grass, then looking up in wonder at a dragonfly that zipped past his nose. His tail flicked playfully as if trying to chase it. But the savannah was different today. The tall grass beyond the watering hole stopped moving, even though the wind still brushed across the plains. Birds that normally chattered in the nearby branches had gone quiet, vanishing into the sky. A pair of guinea fowls scuttled out from the scrub and suddenly froze, their bodies stiff, their necks stretched tall. Their eyes were locked on something deep within the shadows, something the buffalo could not see. The dirt around the scrub told its own story. Fresh hoofprints cut sharp lines into the soil, showing sudden turns and frantic movement. A broken patch of grass revealed that something heavy had dragged its body across the ground. The smell of fear from smaller animals still hung in the air. The warning signs were everywhere, but the herd, caught in their peaceful routine, noticed none of it. The lone elephant noticed everything. She shifted her weight, her huge ears slowly lifting. Her eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in awareness, like she was trying to remember what this kind of silence meant. For a moment, she stood absolutely still. Even her breathing seemed to pause. Across the plains, the baby buffalo lost sight of his mother for just a second. She had stepped behind another adult buffalo, and suddenly the calf felt alone in the wide, wide world. He let out a small bleating sound and stumbled after her, legs tangling beneath him. His mother heard him instantly and turned back, brushing her face against his. Her soft grunt calmed him again, but the tiny moment of separation left a tremor of unease behind. The elephant continued to watch them. Her gaze followed the mother and calf as they rejoined the herd. She saw how fragile the baby still was, how easily danger could swallow him if anything went wrong. Maybe she understood that newborn lives are always at risk here. Maybe she remembered her own calf from many years ago, the one she lost during a drought. Or maybe she simply felt the pull of instinct, the old instinct that tells mothers, no matter what species they belong to protect the young. A gust of wind pushed through the grass, bending it all in one direction. The elephant lifted her trunk again, tasting the air more carefully this time. The smell was stronger now, a predator's smell. Heavy, musky, ancient. She felt her heartbeat quicken. Far behind the scrub, something shifted. A faint scrape of claws. A slow drag. A shadow that didn't match the rhythm of the grass. The herd did not see it. The baby buffalo did not hear it. But the elephant did. She took a single step forward, her foot sinking into the dirt with a soft thud. It wasn't a charge. It wasn't even a warning. It was simply a movement of readiness, the kind an animal makes when the world starts to feel heavier. The sun climbed higher, warming the savanna. The watering hole shimmered. The baby buffalo pressed warmly against his mother's side, his small heartbeat soft and steady. But the peace of the morning was beginning to crack. The threat was close now, close enough that even the wind seemed afraid to breathe. And somewhere in the tall grass, unseen and silent, the tremor that would shatter this gentle world had already begun to move. The scream shattered the savanna. It was thin, high, and filled with a fear that did not belong to the peaceful morning. Birds burst from the trees as if the sound itself had pushed them into the sky. Dust rose in frantic waves. The baby buffalo's cry echoed across the plains, trembling through the tall grass and carrying far beyond the herd. For a moment, everything froze. Then the world broke open. Only seconds earlier, the calf had wandered just a little too far. He had seen a bright yellow bird hopping through the dust, and something about its wings made him smile inside. It bounced and fluttered and leapt into the air, dancing in the sunlight like a piece of gold shaking in the wind. The calf chased it on unsteady legs, forgetting the warning nudges his mother had given him all morning. He didn't know that trouble often hid behind beauty in the savanna. He didn't see the shadows thickening behind the bushes. He didn't smell the predator waiting with hot breath and quiet hunger. The Komodo dragon saw him first. It had been watching the herd since dawn, lying low in a patch of thorny scrub where the mud held the scent of recent rains. Its long, forked tongue tasted the air again and again, sensing the tiniest traces of weakness. It didn't care about the adult buffalo. Too big, too strong, too dangerous. But the calf was small, soft, and new to the world. Easy. When the baby stepped past the edge of the herd's safety, the Komodo's muscles tightened. His belly pressed low to the ground. Its claws dug deeper into the soil, ready to explode forward. And then it moved. It shot out of the bushes like a dark arrow, its huge body dragging a trail through the dust. Close to soil. Pebbles scattered. Its jaws opened wide, strings of saliva stretching between its teeth. For the calf, the world turned into a blur of movement and fear. The mother buffalo spun around just in time to see the shadow rushing toward her baby. She charged with all the strength in her massive body, hoofs pounding the earth. But the ground near the watering hole was slick from fresh mud. Her front hoof slipped, her chest slammed against the earth, and for a heartbeat she lay stunned, her vision shaking. That one heartbeat was all the Komodo dragon needed. It reached the baby buffalo and clamped its powerful jaws around the calf's hind leg. The teeth sank in deep. The calf screamed louder, kicking wildly, but the Komodo's grip was like iron. The predator twisted its head sharply, trying to pull the baby down and drag it toward the bushes where it could finish the kill in safety. Chaos exploded around them. The herd panicked, bodies colliding, hooves thundering in every direction. Dust rose so thick it felt like a storm made of earth. The leader of the herd bellowed orders that no one could hear through the roar of fear. Some buffalo charged, uncertain where the attacker was. Others fled, instinct pulling them away from danger. In the middle of this swirling cloud of confusion, the baby lay helpless, struggling to stand as the Komodo tugged harder. The mother buffalo scrambled back to her feet, her chest heaving, her eyes burning with desperate fury. She charged again, this time without hesitation, her horns lowered. But the dragon dodged her strike, pulling the calf with it. The baby fell hard, his legs folding underneath his body. He tried to lift his head, but he was too weak, too shocked. Tears of pain slid from his eyes, mixing with dust. His cry carried across the savanna, a call for help, for protection, for someone to make the pain stop. The lone elephant heard it. She was feeding slowly under the shade of an acacia tree, her trunk curled around a mouthful of leaves, when the sound reached her. It was faint at first, like a memory echoing through the wind. Then it came again, sharper, clearer, filled with a terror she recognized too well. Her trunk lowered, her ears widened, her heart tightened inside her chest, thudding in a steady, powerful rhythm. She knew that cry. It was the sound of a child in danger. The elephant turned toward the dust cloud rising near the watering hole. She saw shapes moving in the haze, buffalo scattering, shadows shifting, something thrashing on the ground. She couldn't see the calf, but she could feel the fear in his voice, as if the earth itself was carrying it to her feet. She hesitated for only a single heartbeat. Then she began to walk. Her steps were slow but strong, each one sending little tremors across the ground. She wasn't part of the herd. She had no responsibility to them. But instinct, ancient and powerful, guided her forward. She had lost her own calf seasons ago. She had failed once. She would not fail again. As she moved closer, the dust wrapped around her legs, rising like a storm stirred by her presence. The shadows inside the cloud shifted anxiously. The buffalo felt the ground vibrating and turned their heads, confused but hopeful. Even the Komodo dragon lifted its head for a second, sensing a threat far greater than itself. The mother buffalo saw the elephant approaching. Her eyes widened with shock, then relief, then a strange mix of fear and hope. She didn't understand why the giant was coming, but she felt something change in the air, a shift in power like the plains themselves were waking. The calf was barely conscious now. His small chest rose and fell rapidly, his breath sharp and uneven. His leg throbbed with every bite. Dust clung to his face like a mask. He looked at his mother with watery eyes that begged for help he wasn't sure would come. The Komodo dragon tightened its grip and began to pull again, determined to drag the baby deeper into the bushes before the herd reorganized. It hissed, its tongue flicking hot and fast. But then the earth trembled. A shadow fell across the battlefield, long, wide, and massive. The elephant stepped out of the dust. She towered over the struggle, her tusks glowing pale in the harsh sunlight, her eyes steady and calm but filled with a rising anger. Her ears spread wide like the wings of a great storm bird. She looked at the baby, then at the predator holding him. Her breath rumbled out, deep, low, ancient. The Komodo froze. The buffalo herd grew silent. Even the wind stopped moving. For a moment, the savanna seemed to hold its breath. The lone elephant took one more step, her shadow falling fully over the calf, covering his small, trembling body like a shield made of living stone. The breaking point had come, and what happened next would change everything. The Komodo dragon tightened its jaws and tried to drag the calf deeper into the tall grass. When the earth shook beneath it, a thunderous rumble rolled across the savanna like distant storm clouds, low and powerful enough to freeze every creature in place. The Komodo hissed and turned, jaws still locked, but its eyes widened when it saw the massive shadow rising through the dust. The lone elephant stepped forward, her silhouette growing larger with every step, like a mountain coming alive. The air around them seemed to thicken. Dust swirled around her legs and drifted up her sides, clinging to her wrinkled skin like falling ash. Her tusks caught the sunlight, making them glow pale white, and her ears spread wide, silent warning flags in the choking haze of fear. The elephant didn't trumpet. She didn't roar or stamp. She simply stood there, towering and calm, but filled with a power that made even the wind hesitate. Her dark eyes fell on the baby buffalo, then on the predator holding him. Something ancient moved inside her. Something older than species, older than fear, older than the savanna itself. Her breath rolled out in a deep rumble, like the earth speaking through her chest. The Komodo dragon loosened its grip for just a second, and the elephant charged. She didn't sprint like a predator. Her charge was slow at first, deliberate, then growing stronger, heavier, unstoppable. The ground quaked with each step. The Komodo tried to retreat, dragging the calf backward, but the elephant closed the distance in moments. She swung her trunk with terrifying force, striking the Komodo across its shoulder. The blow sent the predator stumbling sideways, jaws snapping open from shock. The baby calf collapsed onto the dirt, gasping. Before the Komodo could grab him again, the elephant lowered her massive head and drove her tusks forward. She didn't pierce the predator. She didn't need to. The sheer force of her rush sent the giant lizard skidding across the ground, rolling through dust and dry leaves until it slammed against a fallen log. The Komodo hissed, stunned, eyes burning with anger that was quickly smothered by fear. It hauled itself upright, dragging its heavy tail as it looked up at the towering elephant now standing between it and the calf. For a moment, predator and defender stared at each other, one filled with bitter rage, the other filled with quiet fury. The Komodo flicked its forked tongue, testing the air. It smelled the blood from the calf, but also something else, something that told it the hunt was over. The elephant's shadow loomed huge across the ground. She didn't move, but her presence alone was too much for the lizard to challenge. With one last hiss, low and defeated, the Komodo turned and slithered back toward the underbrush, each muscle twitching with frustration. It vanished into the tall grass the same way it had emerged, silent, cold, and hungry. The world grew still again. The mother buffalo rushed in, her hooves kicking up small clouds of dust as she slid to her calf's side. She lowered her massive head, trembling, and nudged her baby gently. He tried to lift himself, groaning in pain. Blood seeped from the deep bite on his hind leg. His breathing was sharp and uneven. The mother pressed her face against his, letting her warmth soothe him. Her chest heaved with fear and relief all at once. She had almost lost him. She knew it. The herd knew it too. They began to return slowly, step by step, surrounding the mother and calf in a loose protective ring. Their eyes stayed locked on the elephant, and the elephant stood over them like a guardian carved from stone. She watched the calf struggle, her gaze thoughtful, almost sad. She knew pain. She knew the helpless cry of a young one in danger. Memories stirred inside her, of her own calf, small and bright-eyed, who never grew old enough to stand strong beside her. The savanna had taken him the same way it almost took this buffalo child. Maybe that was why she'd stepped forward today. Maybe she wasn't saving just this calf, but something in her own heart. The calf tried to stand again. His leg shook violently. He staggered and fell. The mother grunted anxiously, circling him, her tail flicking with panic. The elephant lowered her head, her trunk reaching out slowly. The mother buffalo stiffened but didn't charge. She could feel the elephant's intentions. Calm, gentle, protective. The elephant's trunk brushed the calf's side, almost like a soft pat. She wasn't trying to lift him. She was simply letting him know she was there, a steady presence in the chaos. The calf blinked up at her with wide, tired eyes. In that quiet moment, predator and prey no longer mattered. Species didn't matter. Only the fragile breath of a newborn life mattered. A wind swept across the plains, cooling the dust and carrying away the smell of fear. The sky brightened as the haze drifted off. The buffalo herd tightened their circle, giving the calf room but standing close enough to protect him from any other danger. The elephant slowly stepped back. She had done her part. Her muscles relaxed, her ears folded gently, and the anger in her eyes softened into something calmer, something almost peaceful. She looked once more at the mother buffalo. The two giants shared a long, silent understanding. No gratitude, no debt, just respect. The calf finally managed to stand. His legs wobbled, but he stayed upright. The entire herd let out small grunts and sighs. The mother pressed against him, guiding him toward the watering hole to wash the wound. Every step the calf took was shaky, but he was alive. That was enough. The elephant watched them for a few more breaths, her massive body glowing in the late afternoon light. The dust on her skin shimmered like gold flakes. She lifted her trunk and tasted the air one last time. The danger had passed. Her job was done. With a slow turn, she began to walk away from the herd. Her silhouette stretched long across the grass, reaching toward the horizon. The sun had started to sink, painting the sky in soft shades of orange and red. Each step she took seemed to echo gently into the quiet that followed. She did not look back. As she moved farther and farther away, the herd returned to their normal rhythms. The mother kept her calf close, whispering comfort with every touch. The wind hummed through the savanna again, carrying the sounds of life across the plains. And the elephant, alone, silent, strong, walked toward the fading light, leaving behind a story the grasslands would never forget. A reminder that in the wild, where survival is everything, compassion still has a place. A reminder that sometimes the greatest heroes are the ones who walk away quietly.